On behalf of the organizers of this already second Baltic Maritime Spatial Planning Forum, I would like to welcome you all in Riga. Some practicalities before we start work. All plenary sessions and working sessions will be recorded, therefore please use the microphones when you ask for questions. We will be also online today. Those who would like to watch us, please do at balticscope.eu. All the presentations later will be also on internet. We would like to encourage you to socialize also through the social networks. Please use hashtag BalticMSP when you do so. And for the rest, I will give a floor to our nice moderator, Axel Wenblad, who has many titles, but today he is expert on MSP. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Tylis, and very much welcome to all of you. And I was very happy when you came into the room, and there was so much noise in the room, which is a good signal that this should be, you know, the status of these discussions. I'm very excited personally to be here. I have been involved in MSP, as some of you know, for quite some time. I think we are about 250 people registered in this conference, and that is all-time high. And also, we thought that we would only come from the 9 Baltic countries, but in fact, there are people from 30 countries in this room, which means that all of us there's a lot of spotlight on what's going on in the Baltic as far as MSP goes. So we who are working in the Baltic on MSP have to show that we are on track and that we are doing a good job, because that may make an impact in other parts of the world also. So try to do that. And I also noticed that there is a good mixture of backgrounds from authorities, MSP practitioners, scientists, researchers, etc., etc. There are also people from the business sector. There could have been more from the business sector, but I know from experience that is quite, in this kind of exercise, is quite difficult. So take care of those who are in from the business sector and give them a great hug and say, great to have you here. So they will encourage some of their colleagues to come also. You will notice also when you had your coffee here that we have a small exhibitions. Use your time in the coffee breaks and lunch break to visit the exhibitions, look at it, ask questions. But most of it, I think it's important that we all are trying to mingle, trying to meet other people, and think this way: I should start talking to those who I know the least before I start talking to those who I know the most, because then we are strengthening this network of MSP in the Baltic, which is extremely important if we're going to make a good job in the long run with transboundary MSP activities. I remember when I was doing the legislation for the Swedish proposal for the Swedish government quite a few years ago, that I really didn't realize the complexity of transboundary MSP in any country. And I've learned a lot since those days. And it's all about finding system structures, but it's also all about doing it and understanding each other. So keep that in mind. I would also like you to be active. Results depends on what all of us are doing, not only those who are on stage, but everybody in the room and in the working sessions especially. So be active, proactive, and also a little bit provocative. That would also get the discussion going. So please think about that. A nice thing is that tonight, when we're finished with this first day, there will be a dinner somewhere, I don't know exactly where, but there will be buses down in the reception at 6:30. So don't miss the buses, because you will miss one of the greatest dinners that you will ever have missed if you don't join it. So try to be there at 6:30. On a practical and a serious issue, in case of fire, in case of emergency, there are 2 emergency exits to the right and to the left from my side. So those are the ones, that's where you're going if there is an emergency or a fire alarm that goes off. I think I covered most of my introduction, and with this I would like to invite the first, where is Jacek? Oh, there you are. The first keynote speaker, Jacek, who is the chairman of the VASAB, Committee on Spatial Planning and Development of the Baltic region. I don't think I really need to introduce you that formally, Jacek.
Makes sense.
But the floor is yours.
Thank you. Makes sense because I realize that we have people from Bangladesh, Philippines, and some other countries, so perhaps, they are not aware about our Baltic family. Okay, so good morning to everybody, and good morning to MSP. This is a MSP essence, and I like it. So, responding to what Axel said, I want to be very provocative. So, instead of normal introduction, I want to share with you my thoughts. What is the meaning of the Baltic Sea? And how we can see this beautiful asset we have together. So, here you have the concept of the Baltic Sea about biodiversity, richness. I mean, my HELCOM friends should be very happy and should subscribe, for example, Monica, she's somewhere here. Yeah, they should subscribe to this. You can see, especially on those photographs, what is the beauty of the underwater, underwater flora and fauna and things like that. Okay, that's one possibility. The second possibility is for Haitze. This I borrowed from the strategy meeting. Kai Bume made such a beautiful picture of the Baltic Sea region, telling that it's one of the most vibrant regions, with the future, with the potential. And I added a blue growth to it. So now, GDP, productivity, of course, respecting environment, but still, different concepts. But I must say that, looking on both those possibilities or alternatives, I would subscribe myself under the said one. This is my thinking about the Baltic Sea. This is a sea of people. This is my experience. I mean, here I made a lot of friends. Here I learned a lot. It's a huge learning exercise. So the sea without those people would be empty. And therefore, I must say that my great joy, and Axel asked me what is my expectation. It's very simple. I can speak with you. I can share my ideas with you, and now I have opportunity. And I can learn from you. And of course, we should not forget about our friends from outside. They are very important because we can now make Baltic Sea region stronger, listening to them and learning from them. And I would really want to appreciate some of them. For example, Helena, you can see her. She traveled 8 hours, like from United States. And I looked on this brochure from which countries we have, and I know that there are mistakes there because we have planners from Turkey, we have planners for Serbia. So together, this is the strength of the VASAB and strength of the Baltic Sea region. So, ending my presentation, I want to say that in such a company, we can find the solution for the most difficult and tricky questions. So we can meet seals with windmills, and it will work. Because, now I want to quote one of my friends, Thomas Anders, and he said that MSP, this is coping with uncertainty. And I must say that such coping is possibly only because of the quality of the people. I want to wish you very nice, great talks, discussions, and results. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jacek, for this inspiring introduction, and I think we are all on that note now. So now I'll call the next keynote speaker, who is Thomas Johansson from the Swedish, what is it called now in English? The Swedish Maritime and Water Management Authority.
Something like that.
Yes.
SWAM.
SWAM.
Yes.
It doesn't mean swim, it means swam. Thomas, you have also been around in this world for quite some time, and I know you're responsible in your organization for these issues, and I give you the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. It's indeed very nice to have the possibility to speak a little, to meet people like Jacek said in this great conference. I'm here today because I believe in cooperation. I started to work with cooperation in the Baltic Sea area 25 years ago, but at that time I worked in the Farmers Union in Sweden, and actually I visited Latvia for the first time 25 years ago. I believe also in a better Baltic, and I believe in making things together. I give a short introduction of my history, and it's a great possibility, I think, to have the new instrument MSP to keep the cooperation further. In 2014, a directive was born saying that all member states in European Union should have plans 2021. Sometimes I think we forgot why directive is coming from Brussels. It have a history, it have a political will that things should happen together. And sometimes I believe that we are too focused on making the directive in the right way and not thinking so much about what Jacek just explained. The MSP process is to get people, regions, business, and activities and environmental issues together. At that time, we in Sweden had started to work, and we were sure that we wanted to have coherent plans, and we wanted to use ecosystem approach in the plans. And what the ecosystem approach is the only way to get economic, stable growth in the region. Ecosystem is, of course, ecosystem approach is, of course, about getting the environmental in the right way also. But if we should have stable growth, economic growth, increase living situation for people in the region, it's obvious the easiest way. So we decided to, at that time, 2 years ago, DG Mare announced a project proposal, and we decided to go into Baltic SCOPE. And Baltic SCOPE is about collaboration. It's important for the first time it was responsible as a MSP authorities who should be the main partners in the project. And that make a difference. We will use the results. The results is in that bag. I don't open it today. We already using the results because the planning process are going around in all countries. And we want, from the Baltic SCOPE view, we want you all to use the results. It's not the project results, it's the results for all of us. So far, we can see that our cooperation in Baltic SCOPE have boosted our national process. We have shared planning evidence. We have made national agency more interest of MSP process, for example, in energy sector. We have built stronger relation between us. We know each other better. We understand each other, because even in Sweden, we thought some years ago that everyone will do it like we in Sweden. but not we do it in different ways. And we understand this. We understand each better also. So, in Baltic Scope, we understand, we share, and we adapt. Baltic Scope is founded by 10 partners and financed by the European Union. And this forum today, I'm very glad to say that we in Baltic Scope have decided to have this as the last opening big conference. And it's a possibility. We will work further 2-3 months, but the results will come even further. But this is the last big event that Baltic Scope present what we have done so far. So I hope this conference, and I already know that this conference will increase the cooperation, the activity between us. But I hope also that we start to think of the next step of MSP process. Because today I think we are so occupied by thinking to doing the first plan or drawing lines or something. But how should we use them? How should we, what really impact will it be to develop the whole region? I hope that that will be a part of the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. You were just in time, and thank you very much for your...
I've forgotten my picture.
Oh, but I think we had a picture of you standing here, and I think that's good enough for us. So thank you very much. And then I call on stage the third keynote speaker, which is Haitze Siemers, who is head of unit for maritime and Baltic in the Baltic and North Sea maritime policy in the EC Director General for Maritime Affairs and Fisheries, DG Mare. So welcome, very much welcome to you, Haitze.
Good morning. It's a real pleasure to be here. And since Jacek was speaking about friends, I can only echo that. Axel, Jacek, Monica, Talis, and then all the other people in the room that I'm not mentioning. It's really so that over the last few years we have become close friends, and I think particularly close friends in this Baltic context where there's so much progressive work going on. So it's a pleasure to be here. And today is really, I think, is a day to be proud of for all of us. Maritime spatial planning has become a word that is no longer something which people either don't know about or are nervous about. It has moved from if or when to how soon, and how much, and particularly in the context in how much closer can we work together. It's good to see how far Maritime Europe has come, from the first political statements about developing some kind of a common approach to how we manage seas and oceans, to today's work on maritime sea basin strategies, blue growth, good environmental status, maritime spatial planning, and ocean governance. And you all know what these words mean, so I don't need to detail them, and they are all household names in a way. So let me focus on some of the big subjects and some of the challenges ahead of us today, and some of the positives. So let's start with the positives, and some of this was already picked up by both the previous speakers. The Baltic has always been at the forefront of progress on maritime action, as in so many other areas. The cooperation within HELCOM, for example, through the Baltic Sea Action Plan, or in the context of the Baltic Sea Strategy, are prime examples of this. In our specific maritime spatial planning context, the work of HELCOM VASAB and all the projects that we know about that are taking place here in the context of cross-border cooperation are a specific example as well. Innovation in maritime technologies, such as, for example, clean shipping, or the work that is being done to foster blue biotech, are another example, as is the introduction of a SECA for the Baltic Sea. We have positive trends, even if we still moan and groan about the state of the Baltic Sea and the risks that it faces. In fact, things like eutrophication and pollution are on a long-term downward trend. But there are some real big challenges ahead, and these are the big ones. First is climate change. The Baltic Sea is heating up faster than most of the other sea basins around the world. Impacts will therefore be stronger. And maritime climate change policy is only in its infancy if we look at the global climate change discussions. It's on the agenda now, but we need to focus much more on mitigation and adaptation in a maritime context and boost local and global action on climate change with regard to the seas. Pollution and litter need to be brought under control. Good steps are on the way now. We have the circular economy package. We have work that's on the way with regard to the reform of the Port Reception Facilities Directive. We need to deal more with eutrophication, but again, we are only at the beginning of tackling this as effectively as it needs to be tackled. The Baltic and the European Union can only do so much. We need cooperation with international partners. We need ocean governance. We need to tackle maritime issues internationally. That's absolutely essential. Innovative blue growth that couples maritime resource use with greater sustainability is equally essential. We need to build on successes in fostering innovation and cross-sector sustainable approaches to sea use. Maritime spatial planning is central to all of this. Coordinated and coherent management of all sea uses in spatial context leads to the most sustainable and efficient outcome. At least that's the theory. And your job, you're the real pioneers here in the Baltic, is to make this come true. It is in all of our interest, and it's moving ahead very well indeed. Now, when we spoke this morning, Axel said, you know, what is your personal takeaway? What is it that you want to get out of the conference today? So I think there's one main message that I have and a connected message, if you will, that I want to move forward here. One is, or the most important one is, as I said, we need international action in order to make the work that we do for both the blue economy and the sustainability of what we do successful. Trans-border maritime spatial planning is an absolutely essential part of this. And for the moment, what we're doing is, and certainly we're doing it here in the Baltic, is laying the foundations for this cross-border cooperation. But we need to move from projects to coherent cross-border plans that are a reality, that are not just something that we've got on a drawing table and that everybody likes, but something that's an actual reality. And that needs action. And the action, and we know this from experience, means that it needs to move up in terms of visibility. It needs to move up the political agenda. We had a discussion last night about how do you ensure that as a planner you can perform your role most effectively. So how can you most effectively get to a situation where you get cross-border plans as opposed to just thinking about cross-border plans? Well, one of the things is that you need to find the best way to demonstrate how efficient and how sustainable a cross-border developed maritime spatial plan is. The argument for what does maritime spatial planning do for blue growth, what does it do for sustainability, needs to be developed, needs to be pushed forward. I'm absolutely convinced of that. So those are the two takeaways, I think, for me out of the work today. Make cross-border planning a reality and make the case for the efficiency of maritime spatial planning. Voilà, so let's go to work and make this reality, move it forward. And I wish you best of work over the next days in the conference. Thank you.